They say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But what's a gallon of preparation worth? Let's find out. So I recently created a challenge for myself. I wanted to create a get-home style survival kit for my wife to keep in her car. Now, there were a couple of challenges that we were facing. One is that as a result of the nature of her job, she has to take things in and out of her car quite a bit. She drives a compact SUV. She's constantly having to load equipment in and out, which means that she can't have a cover over the cargo area of her vehicle. She's constantly having to fold the seats down and put a lot of gear in there. So I needed something that would be inconspicuous. We happen to live in an area where auto burglary is common. Anything that looks like it might be worth something is subject to being stolen. And then you've got to pay for a new window as a result of that. So the idea was to take something that would be completely inconspicuous. I could have chosen a small black bag and packed it full of goodies, but the problem is that if someone looked in the window and saw a little black bag, they would automatically assume that it was worth something. So I needed something that most people would just look right past and not think twice about. So there was the challenge. And I also wanted to find something that was relatively strong and durable, and something that wasn't going to get destroyed if it got knocked around a little bit. I wanted to find something that would protect the contents inside from being destroyed or ruined by weather or crushed or any number of possibilities of things that could have happened to it. I wanted something airtight. I wanted something that would prevent the elements from causing problems down the line, because the idea behind this particular kit was for it to stay in the car and only be broken out if needed. Here's what I decided on. That's right, it's the All-American gallon paint can. It's a metal structure with a good seal around it, and it's durable. It can roll around in the car. The handle can be used to strap it in place and keep it from bouncing around. So the challenge here was to find all of the things that I wanted to put in the kit and make them fit inside this gallon. Now you're going to see in a minute when I open this thing up, this thing is packed out. There's a lot of stuff in here. But the challenge being what it was, trying to get everything to fit inside this particular container, I had to take certain things into consideration. Now keep in mind that when I put this in the car, there is going to be a paint can key taped to the top of the can. That way, if she ever needs to open it, she'll be able to get into it easily and not have to go look for a tool to do it with. The purpose of this kit, this is a get-home kit. This is not a live off the land for weeks kind of thing. This is a kit designed in the event that we have a natural disaster that traps her out on the road somewhere. Let's say, for instance, we live in an earthquake zone. We are overdue for a major earthquake. Let's say it happens one day, she's on the highway and the earthquake hits and everything around her is destroyed and she can't safely get anywhere for a little bit and she's got to camp out for a little while. Or let's say there's a major straight line windstorm like we had a few years ago that takes down power lines and knocks over semis, and she's unable to go any further, and she knows that if she leaves her vehicle there, she's going to be in danger, the vehicle's going to be in danger, and she's going to need to wait it out until somebody can get there to help her. That's what this kit is designed for. It's not designed to keep her alive while she marches to some unforeseen location where the whole family is bugging out to meet up to. This is strictly a just in case of a disaster kind of kit. That being said, let's open it up and let's see what's in it. There we go. All right, so we're going to take the top off the kit. First thing just inside is a small first aid kit. Now this is just an ouchie boo-boo kit. This has some small gauze, some bandages, some things like that, some wipes, stuff like that that she might need if she encounters some kind of minor injury. Next thing is an instruction kit for something I'm going to dig out here in a little bit, so we're going to set that aside. I've got a tube of Carmex, because if you're out in the elements, sometimes your very sanity can depend on making sure that your skin, your lips, and your nose don't dry out. Next, I've got a pack of iodine swabs in the event of an injury that needs cleaning. Then we have a pack of storm-proof matches. Of course, you're going to need something to start a fire with. Next, we have a pack of soap Now these are small slivers of soap. It's camp style soap. You take one of these little sheets out of this little package, you put it on your hand, you wet your hand, you wash them and clean them off. In the event that you need to get clean during a disaster, this is a good way to go. Also, you're not having to keep up with a large bar of soap that you have to put back in something and it's getting all over everything you've got. That's the great thing about these little individual pieces of soap. Next, I have a few packages of toilet paper / napkins from MREs. I bought a package of MRE accessories, and this is some of the stuff that I've got in it. And I think there might be a couple more down in here somewhere. The next thing I've got is there is a handful of these little compact towels. Now these are the little things that you put in water, you open it up, and you've got a little hand towel that you can use either to clean yourself or something else with. Then I've got a paracord bracelet that has a compass on it. It has a few feet of paracord, and inside of it there's a ferro kit. So you can actually use this as a fire starter, and it also is sharpened to be able to cut. Next up, I've got a good old-fashioned Bic lighter. One of the things that you can never have too much of in a survival situation is things you can use to start a fire with. Whether it's matches, a lighter, ferro kits, whatever you've got, there's never going to be enough of it. One of them may fail, and there's always a need for something else to fall back on. Next, I've got a little clipper that I got from Survival Boxes, and it's a small nail clipper. It's got a little knife and a hook and some other things, and it's designed to be a multi-tool for use for things like not only clipping your nails, but also for in the event that you're trying to go fishing, you need something to nip your line with, or to nip small pieces of rope or something like that. This also has a little neck lanyard, which you can add other things to and carry your tools around your neck. I've got a carabiner. These have infinite uses. There's always going to be something you can do with these. After that, we have some solid fuel. These can be set on a rock, lit on fire, and used to cook food or to boil water. Next, I have some Ultrasport sunscreen. I don't even have to explain what this is for. Then I've got a bottle of water purification tablets. Take one of these, drop it in a quart of water, 20 to 30 minutes later, you've got potable water. I have a couple of small tent spikes, and in a little bit I'm going to show what these are for. There's a small eating utensil in here. It's a spoon, fork, knife, bottle opener. It has a variety of uses. Another carabiner. I knew there was a second one in there. All right, now we have a lightweight emergency bag. This is a bivvy style shelter / safety blanket that you can set up over a piece of string or over a hanging branch and make a small survival tent or shelter out of it. All right, now I've got some Gold Bond lotion. In the event that you're going to be on your feet quite a bit, or you're going to be walking a lot and trying to get somewhere, you're going to end up with raw spots sometimes, and you're going to need something to take care of that, or your hands are going to dry out as a result of having to dig through brush or gather wood or what have you. This is going to be something to offer you a little bit of relief. After that, I've got a Leatherman multi-tool. It's got the pliers kit, it's got knives, it's got a saw, it's got all kinds of useful things in it. So as far as a cutting implement or something that you can use for multiple purposes, this is going to come in handy. Next, I've got a pack of waterproof matches. Weather stormproof, we have waterproof, we have a lighter, we have 3 different sources of starting a fire in here. Next up, we have a Mayday mini meal bar. This is a 400 calorie apple cinnamon food bar. It's a long-term storage. This thing will be good until May of 2024, and it stores in all kinds of conditions. It's sealed up watertight and airtight, so it'll be good for a long time. The next thing we have in here is the Stanley cooker and nesting cups. Now we're going to open this in a minute and see everything that's inside, but I want to show you the other thing that goes with it. I also have a small stove that I made out of a silverware caddy that I got at Walmart for only a few dollars. I cut this off, sanded this down a little bit so it wouldn't be dangerous. And here's how this works. Let me set this aside. Basically, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can take your solid fuel tablets. You can set one on a rock. You can set this on top of it, and then you can put your little cook pot on that. Or, if you don't have a hard surface, you turn it over this way, put one of your solid fuel cells in there, and that's where these tent pegs come in handy. You drop these in here like this. You make that even at least. Then we take the pot, set it on top. We've got a surface for cooking. This is also wind resistant. It's not going to be wind proof, but it'll fight off a pretty good wind like that. Then the last thing we've got in the bottom of the gallon bucket is a handful of coffee filters. Now these would be used for filtering the large contaminants out of water before you try doing things like adding the water purification tablets or boiling the water. You go ahead and get the big ugly stuff out of it and you make your water just a little bit cleaner with that. Now let's move on to the Stanley cook pots, and I'm going to show you what I did with this. So you open the pot, it's got its own top, it's got its own handle as you can see. Inside that, on top, I have a few packets of salt that came out of the MRE accessory kit that I was telling you earlier that I got. Then we have an assortment of drink mixes, because one thing you're going to find when you're in a survival situation is that water, even after it's been filtered, even after it's been cleaned a little bit, still can taste kind of funky. Especially if you're using purification tablets, they're going to taste a little bit like pool water. So anything that you can add to them to give a little bit of flavor, also to give a little bit of sugar, is going to make it a lot easier to make it go down. Now this is also really good for your morale in the situation that you might find yourself in. Every little bit helps. So I've got 4 packs of MRE style drink mixes. Next I've got 3 packs of Taster's Choice coffee. My wife is a coffee nut. If she found herself in a position where she couldn't make coffee, she'd lose her mind. So we're going to boil up a little bit of water, pour this in, make some coffee. Next we've got some Splenda packs. That's her preference. You can put sugar, you can put sweet and low, whatever you need, you can put it in there. Next I have 2 packs of Lipton instant soup. This is chicken noodle soup that comes in a little pouch. This is actually a couple of servings in this one package, and I've got 2 of these. So you've got about 4 meals worth of soup here that you can prepare using this arrangement. And in the bottom of that, now normally the Stanley Cook Pot comes with 2 of these nesting cups. I took one of them out for the purposes of space, plus the fact that this kit is intended to be for one person, and even under the worst scenario, if you have 2 people that are trying to live off of it, they can share the same cup. It's not going to kill them. And then of course you have the cook pot, which you can fill with water, you can fill with whatever you have that you may have scavenged up to eat, and then you can cook it using the little hobo stove that I created here. Now, one last thing that I didn't talk about earlier is another reason why I chose the gallon bucket and not something like a bag or something along those lines is the fact that the gallon bucket has a lot of uses in the field. One being, I can take this to a water source and I can collect a gallon of water at a time, as opposed to having smaller containers. And then on top of that, I can take this same gallon bucket, I can hang it from something over a fire, and I can use this to boil water in. Another thing that I can do is I can take my water filters, I can set them in my Stanley cook pot, I can take this large bucket of water and I can pour it in here and filter the water by having a 2 container system instead of trying to figure out a way to juggle that. So what do you think? Is this an interesting idea? Is this something that you think is frivolous? Is it something that you can see yourself putting together for you or for someone you love? Now, once I get this all back in the bucket, it's going to go in my wife's car. When I put it in the car, I'm going to mark on here what its next inspection date needs to be, because I need to be able to remember that in a year, I need to take this out of the car and look to replace things like the coffee and the soup packs and things like that, and make sure that they stay fresh. This is not something that's designed to be thrown in the car and forgotten about until you suddenly one day start thinking about the fact that it's been in there for a while, but you can't remember when it went in. be sure and mark a date on it. I'd love to hear your ideas. What do you think? Are there things that I forgot? There's not really a lot of room to put anything else in it. So I'd love to hear if you have other ideas for small things that might fit in here, or things that maybe you're looking at going, I could live without that, I think. I'd love to hear your suggestions in the comments below. So that's it for my little gallon of survival. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We've got lots of new videos coming out, and we're having lots of cool adventures along the way that we'd love to share with you. And until next time, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. See you later.